Hi guys, my name is Stephen Wilcox from Final Form Studios, and today I'm going to be presenting our Final Vision filmmaking app. So as you can see here, this is the main loading screen. So when you're here, you'll just go ahead and click enter. And so the first thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go into our API and our connection for this to work. So here we can see that we have our Claude Anthropic API. We can enter that here. And then our ChatGPT by OpenAI, we can just go ahead and enter that in here. All right, so I just pasted mine in here. I'm gonna go ahead and save. And then down here, we'll say OpenAI key saved locally. And then we're gonna test it out to make sure it's working. We're gonna hit test connection. And then another green tab should pop up down here. OpenAI connected successfully. All right, so I just pasted the Anthropic API key here. I'm gonna save it. Sure, and then it says it was saved locally, and then you can test the connection, and then it said the connection was successful. So now that we've successfully tested our API keys, we're going to want to go into Storybuilder. So here we are in the Storybuilder tab, and this is a great tool if you just have like a very broad idea of what you want. So for example, and I'll just name mine Time Traveler's Diary. That's just a story that I'm working on. And then what I like to do is I like to have like maybe AI ask me questions about the story that I want to develop. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and hit generate 10 story questions. All right, so our 10 questions have been generated. Then we can kind of answer in here. And then you can kind of just go through and you just fill in all the questions. If you're not sure, just pass. And then what we're going to do is continue to structure. So here we're going to decide kind of the length of our film, 5-minute film. And then we're going to go ahead and generate scene breakdown. All right, so the scene breakdown has been generated. And what we can see here is that we've got an act 1, 2, and 3 kind of outlined here. And what we can do is it's given us some estimated times of what we want. We're just going to leave that there for now, but you do have the option to just delete or adjust the times. So now we're working on our individual scenes. We have 6 scenes here individually. So what we can do is if we have our own ideas, we can just start writing, or if we need a little bit of help, we can draft this scene. So what you can do is read through this, see how you feel. You can make some edits. If you're not sure, you can just kind of move on and then move on to the next scene. But what's important is that if you do have a really strong idea for the film that you are working on, it's important to get all of the details right in the beginning because they're going to carry on forward for the story. So let's go on to the next scene. Let's just draft this up and move through this quickly as just a quick demonstration. All right, and just like that, we have our screenplay drafted up. So now we're going to go to continue to export. And what we can do is we can just copy the text. We can export it as a PDF, or we can send it to our script page. So I'm just going to write my name here, written by Stephen Wilcox. And then we're going to send this over to our script page. So now we're in our script page here. Our Storybuilder, it's imported into this page here. So what we're going to do is we're going to import our 6 beats from our Storybuilder. And this kind of gives us a breakdown of our story here, and just so we can kind of visually see it, we've got our act 1, 2, and 3 here. This is great, and then we can make some edits if we want to edit this beat. And then on the right side here, this is our script. And so, for example, if you felt like the beat board was just a little bit distracting, currently we're in split view. We can go into just script mode here if we like. We'll keep it on split. And then the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure our classifications are correct. So for example, we have down here scene heading, action, character dialogue, parentheticals, transition, and shot. And so if you're not used to doing screenplay writing, this might be a little confusing, but basically we just kind of have our, that would be a fade in. And then when you do that, it formats it correctly, which is quite nice. So we got our transition, we have our scene heading right here, and then this is just an action. We've got some actions here, and here we have this is a character, and we have dialogue, and then we've got some more action, character, dialogue, action, character, dialogue, action, character, dialogue. And you're just going to kind of go through, and you want to make sure all of this is correct, because when we bring it over to our shot list, we need to have this classified correctly so the shot list is created correctly. And then we also have our highlighter here. So if you wanted to just highlight something, you can just have it there. And then one other thing that I wanted to note is that if you wanted to export your PDF or your script, you can do that here. And then as well, if you already have a screenplay already, you don't have to go through the Storybuilder. You can just go ahead and import script and it'll just import it here. So if you've already done that, you can skip the Storybuilder step and then just jump right on into the script page. So this is our dashboard. And so for example, if you already have your screenplay or your script, what you can do is the first thing, you can import your script and you can actually bypass the Storybuilder, so that wouldn't be relevant to you. Right here, this is just kind of our command center on our dashboard. What we can do is we can see that our script is imported, our scenes are parsed, and then we have a few other things that we haven't checked off here. So then things that have not been finished, we can see today is the 17th. We can actually put scenes reviewed, that can go on the 17th. And then we can maybe add, we're gonna maybe add our characters, and we're gonna do our locations also. So this is a good way to kind of track your progress of just kind of like what you're doing. And then we can maybe add some notes for the day. This is something that we were working on here. And then project notes. So for example, so we need to have the character references created. So if we're on the 17th today, and I click over here, the notes for the day, you know, obviously it's changed, but the project notes and what we're working on, these two notes will kind of persist no matter which day that you're on. And then up here, this is just a little fun thing. You can just click on here and you can upload an image or a file. Once we've generated some images in our library, we can upload just directly from our library, and we can just add our little project thumbnail at the top here. So here in our characters page here, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to extract our characters from the script. So we're going to hit extract our characters, and then we'll see down here that it is working, and we want to hit generate descriptions just to make sure they've come through. And then here we have the descriptions, and then if we wanted to, we could just generate the photos here of our characters. And here we're going to have a couple options. So here we're going to be able to choose the style that we want, and then if we want to create a custom style, I'll show you guys how to do that a little bit later in the shot list tab. But right now, let's just go for photorealistic. We've got our two characters set, and here we've got the quality. And so if we do our low, medium, and high, for our characters, I do recommend doing the highest quality, but these ones are going to take a little bit longer, around 3 minutes to generate per character. I think for demonstration purposes, I'm going to just hit high. We're going to hit that, and then we're going to generate our characters. So now we can see that our two characters here have been generated. So let's go ahead and click on one of our characters. And so what we did was we did our generation for our image, but if you already have a character image in mind, you can actually just upload your reference here. And then what we're going to do is that we're going to generate our master from reference. So we're going to go ahead and click here. So now we have our character has been generated with nice even lighting on a white background, and that's going to help for when we're generating our images in our shot list. So one other thing that we can do, if we kind of scroll down here, we can create our character reference sheet. So we have our options of the quality that we want. So what we can do is we're going to generate our CRS2 right now. Yeah, this looks great. One thing to note just down here on the advanced casting sheet reference, what this is going to do, it's going to give you the exact same thing, but it's done in a little bit of a different way. What it's going to do is it's going to generate basically each one of these shots individually, and then we're going to have it here. And then as well, we're taking the images from our master profile reference, and then it's going to individually generate one of these. So we might have a little bit, maybe 5-10% slightly higher accuracy, but the one that was generated here, I think this one looks great. I think the use cases of wanting to use the advanced is that maybe one or two of these images here just isn't quite right. Maybe this character, one of the things that happens sometimes is that maybe this one or this one, they're kind of facing the same way, or maybe the expression or like head's slightly tilted, maybe you want it a little bit more centered. This one here, you're going to have a lot more control. And so once you're finished your character reference, what you can do is you can edit some of the details. I typically like to do this after the images have been generated, because if you do this before the images have all been generated, it is going to, this is actually going to influence when you're making the master profile reference. So we're just going to go ahead and generate our bio of our character. All right, sounds good. And then we can add some notes here if we want. And then if you're very happy with your character, what you can do is just lock character so nothing can be changed. All right, so we're in our locations tab here. 4 locations have already been auto extracted, so we don't have to do that. I'm gonna go ahead and generate the descriptions for each of these locations, and the generated descriptions are gonna be based on the script. All right, that's great. And so you can kind of read through the description of the scene, and then if you want to edit that, that can be edited. So let's go back to the locations here. So what we can do is we can generate all of our photos for our locations. So we can click here, select all of the ones, all of the locations. We're going to set it to photorealistic. And then what we're going to do, for now, we'll do high. And these are about 3 minutes per photo. So we're going to go hit generate, and we'll let that run. So our 4 locations have now been generated, turned out really well. And so what I'm going to do is, before I do that, you have the option if you want to kind of scale these up or down. Maybe you just want to have 4 per row. It's your preference. So what we can do now is we're going to click on, say, the jungle trailhead. And here, this is what we have. So in the details panel, what we can do is we can actually just switch between all of our locations here. And then if we wanted to, we could regenerate the photo if we don't like it, or we could actually just simply replace the photo with something that we have on file. We can rename the location, interior, exterior, or interior, exterior. You can add an address, production notes, and then you could even just regenerate the description, but we're going to leave that for now. Or if you just don't like it at all, just delete the whole location. So here we go, we got the description here, we can edit that. And then a cool feature that I built in is the environmental sheet. So if we want to go ahead and generate this, what this is going to do, it's going to create you a number of just kind of reference images for that location. As well, we have our aerial top-down view. So I'm going to go ahead and generate aerial view also. So I've got both images generating. So we'll just give those a few minutes to generate. So our environmental sheet has been generated. So there's just some ideas that based off of our main image here, it was generated. And then based off of that, we have our aerial top view. So this is one of my favorites, especially when I'm building in Unreal Engine. I like to have a top-down view of my scene to kind of give me an idea of what it is that I'm building. So this is a really helpful tool, and I hope it is for you guys also. All right, so now that we got our characters, location, and our script, now we can head over to our shot list. All right, so here in our shot list, we can't see anything yet, but what we need to do is we need to generate our shot list. We just hit OK, and boom, there we go. We got 106 shots just quickly generated. So now that we've generated our shot list, we can see all of our shots here. And what you can actually do is you can merge and you can split your shots. So I recommend going through all of this and just kind of getting a feel for the story here. So for example, I want to say split this shot. So I'm going to hit split shot here. And then I can take maybe this last part here. I wanted to take that. And then I wanted to maybe just kind of put that over here. So we have, this is a way to kind of split our shots. But for example, maybe I want to actually combine two shots here. So maybe these two here. And then if I hold Shift and G, we're now going to have those two shots are going to be grouped into one shot. And then we'll see the description up here. So you're going to want to do that first through all of your shots. And then also important is that you want to just kind of look at our details panel here and just make sure that maybe like if it's a different lens, you can kind of switch it to a different lens. The shot times here, and then as well just making sure that we have all of the characters. So you can put all characters, you can just put so for example, we do all characters, it's going to put these character tags here. So when we're generating the image, we're going to make sure that those 3 characters are in that image. Right now, I wouldn't worry too much about shot time or run time. I will kind of talk a little bit more about that in the edit film. But if you have a very specific timing for all of your shots, you can go ahead and just enter those in there. All right. And then for your shot list also, if you go into ChatGPT or Claude and you actually make up your own shot list, you can actually import your shot list in here. So just choose your file and import your SRT file. Okay. All right, so now let's move on to generating images within our shot list. Let's bring up the window for generating the images. So if I just select this one, is going to generate all of my images. But for example, maybe I only want maybe just these first 2 shots generated. I'm going to hit generate and then select these 2 shots. And then the style, you can pick one of the pencil sketch or the Final Vision ink. I use this one for my black and white, just kind of as our first pass to kind of get the idea. Or if you want to just kind of create your own maybe 90s Japanese anime, and then I'll just, so now that we've entered our preset name and then our custom image style, we can go ahead and save preset, and then we can just kind of use this as our drop down. And so this is if you wanted to have a custom image generation style for your characters and location, this is also where you would do that and create your custom style, and then that should show up in your characters and locations. So let's go ahead actually and use photorealistic. We'll do our 2 shots there, and then these are all the things that we're going to include in our prompts. And then if you click on the shot that is being generated, this is an example of the prompt that is going to be generated, so you have an idea. And then we have 3 different quality modes here. So we have GPT image 1 mini, and then 1.5 and 2. Each of them has like a different price range. So let's go ahead and just actually do the higher quality one, and let's go ahead and generate those now. So our 2 images have been generated, and what's really cool, we have all 3 of our characters here represented in our shot. And so if maybe we're not very happy with it, we can actually go through the image prompt that we have here, and we can go ahead and edit it. So I feel it's a lot easier to work off of something that's already been created, and we can just kind of edit and modify it. What we can do is that once we have generated an image, we can actually rate it. This is going to give the app the information, so next time it generates, it'll actually do better. Yeah, one of the big benefits of the shot list is that we are able to batch generate large numbers of shots. So for example, we have a total of 106 shots, and each high quality image is about 3 minutes. So it's going to be about 300 minutes approximately to generate all of these. So you could, before you go to bed, just go ahead and hit generate, and then when you come back, all of your images will be batch generated, and then you can kind of go through and you can review them there. All right, so now we're in our shot list. All of our images have been generated. I think it turned out great. So now that we have finished off our shot list here, everything's been generated, we're happy with it. Now we're going to move over to our edit film page. Here we are on our edit film page, and what we can do is we can zoom into our timeline using the E key, and then we can zoom out using the D key. With the S key, we can mark in, and then with the F key, we can mark out. I clicked generate all, but basically what it'll do, it'll put the narration clips at the bottom per clip. But what we can notice is that so if you click on the narration, it'll actually, you can hear it. And then we have a couple options here. We can sync shot list times. We can sync clip to audio. So if I go ahead and click this, it's just going to snap all of our clips now to our narration, which I find it pretty helpful. And then what we can do is we can go from the very beginning and we can just play it through as an animatic.
Fade in, up into the canopy, sunlight and broken needles. The old jungle holds its hush. A branch snaps, boots rip through wet leaf litter. A hand tears a curtain of fern aside, breath saws ragged and close. Oilcloth butt tilt. So
that gives you an idea. So basically at this point we have an animatic for our story, so we can kind of have visuals like a keyframe. We have our animation, and yeah, I think it's a pretty cool tool. We have a few other things here. We have our subtitles. We can kind of we can click these on and off, so if you don't want them on, you can just have that off. Shot time, we can have that off, and then script, we can also have that. So these are just 3 additional features we can have. And then here's our sync table. So if there are parts of the script that are not syncing up to, the subtitles are not matching up to the script, we can kind of see that here, and we can edit those. So this is our library of all of the images that we have generated. We can kind of just browse through. If we want, we can kind of click on this. It'll also give us the prompt below that we have, so we can copy that prompt, we can download it, we can use it in Shot, we can put it in our favorites, or we can just delete it if we don't like it. Also, we can kind of we can do a quick search up here if we want for any particular shots. So if I want anything from scene 2, I can just click 2, and then all of the scene 2 shots can be here. As well, one really nice feature is that if you want to just export, you can kind of come in here and it'll show all of your images from your library. So this is our reports page. This is an important one. This is basically how we're going to be able to diagnose any problems with our story that we might not know about. So the initial reason I created this was because that if we're having images that are not generating that we want to, there's something in the prompt structure that is kind of going wrong. So that way we can kind of see what is going wrong, essentially. So once you have all of your shots generated, what you can actually do is you can generate a PDF. And what this is going to do, it's going to give you a pretty big file, and it's going to basically break down everything that you currently have, all of your shots, and it's going to give you your shot, it's going to give all of the information about that shot, it's going to give the final prompt that was used, and then what we can see here is that the characters used in the prompt, the tokens, uncompressed, and then the compression is at 100% here. Here we can see like the prompt block breakdown, the hard identity lock, and we can also see the percentage that this element is in the prompt. So these are all of the data per shot that we have. And then we have 71 shots total. So it's going to be a pretty large file. And then that's for the forensic debug report for each of the individual shots. You can also print out the producer packet. It's going to give us the script, characters, locations, shot list, and the storyboard all together, or you can just kind of pick the ones that you want. Or if you want to just generate the PDF from the individual page, you can also do that. For our audit reports, we have 3 audit reports that we can do. We have our script, our shot list, and our image generation. When we click our audit report, we have a built-in script and function that's going to audit the script. It's going to go through, it's going to review the script that we have, it's going to look for problems, it's going to debug any issues that there are, and it's going to add it to a report. And then once that's done, we can just go ahead and print the report. And then we also have here the report. So when we have our script and then it's going to the shot list, there's that like in between. So if after you finished your script and the report comes back clean, it's looking good. And then when you're importing your script to your shot list, you're finding a lot of things that are not right. There's something that's just off. There might be things or wordings that you have in your script that just aren't working well for when you're importing into the shot list. So this, if we generate this report here, this is just kind of an example of what you might see. So we have our logic completeness, continuity, handling, coverage, and entropy. Topology awareness, rule effectiveness, and just overall. So currently we have a score of 84 out of 100. It's good, recoverable to 92 via recommendations. So P1 to P4. And then the same thing for our shot list. We're able to generate an audit report. I'm going to go here on, while these two here are generating, I've already done this one here. And then I'm going to go ahead and print the report for our script. Overall, we've got a score of 82 out of 100. Craft is a 51 out of 61, and then execution subtotal. So yeah, we're not doing too bad. Our story structure is 19 out of 22. We got a B, character voice and development, dialogue quality, theme and emotional architecture. One of the areas we could probably format in technical, dense action blocks, typos, and page numbers, noise drag, strong page down. So this is an area that we could certainly improve for our script. So what you can actually do is you can actually take this whole report and then also throw your script into something like Claude or ChatGPT, and then it could probably give you some suggestions on how you could improve your script. And then also for our shot list, so again, it's going to give us some suggestions. So right now, story and emotional weighting, we've got an A. That's great. All right, so that concludes the reports. We have Unreal Engine. So this is one thing that we're currently developing right now. And our goal for this is that we're going to basically be able to import our shot list and our image references, and then that's going to be imported directly into our Final Vision Unreal Engine app, which we're going to hopefully be releasing soon. So I think that concludes our tour of our Final Vision app. I hope you guys can sign up for the early access, and if you guys have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Thank you.